Have you ever dreamt about being on the big stage, getting all the accolades, all the money, for speaking for what, maybe an hour on the subject that you are an expert at? Wouldn't that be wonderful? Some of those speakers get paid huge dollars. How do they do that? Well, that's my dream in my retirement, which is just around the corner, actually. I want to get paid to speak somehow, some way. I want to share with you a few of my stories and learning of the times that I got paid to speak. The first time I got paid, a friend of mine from the group I hang out with, who works at SAS Power in a women's group, a leadership group for women, contacted me and she said, we're going to have a lunch and learn, and they want to learn what it takes to do public speaking. Could you come in and give us some tips for 45 minutes on public speaking? Sure, no problem. That's the Better Speaker series of Toastmasters, condensed into 45 minutes using my twist and take on it. Easy peasy, right? I said, yes, I can do that. I thought, what a great opportunity to get my name out there and do that. I knew it was a ladies group who were interested in public speaking. I did research on that. I talked to Dave Bartoff. I don't know if any of you know him. He works at SAS Power. I said, what's the room like that they want me in? Am I going to need a microphone? He said, you'll be fine, Laurel. Your voice is loud and clear enough. You'll be good. And he explained the room to me. He actually took me there in advance and gave me a look at the room. After figuring out who my audience was, figuring out what my room was going to be, whether I needed microphones or equipment, I made my PowerPoint. And I went through all the steps, made it as succinct as possible. I got a lot of instructions on how not to have boring slides. And then I practiced, and I practiced, and I practiced. I practiced riding my bike, saying it in my head. I practiced it driving to work. I practiced it in front of the mirror. I practiced it in front of people that I work with. And every time they would give me, this is what you maybe need to do. This is what you should do. This could be better. That was good. I went to different Toastmaster meetings and I practiced. The day came and I marched on in there, as confident as I could be, because deep down inside, I was scared out of my mind and my stomach was flip-flopping. I couldn't even eat lunch, but I thought, I can do this. And I gave that presentation. I got the great accolades, and they said to me, thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate it. And since it was a lunch and learn, guess what I got paid? Pizza! They gave me a box of pizza to take home. Woohoo! That was my first paid gig, a box of pizza. I don't even eat pizza. I took it home to my husband, but I got paid. A little while later, the Project Management Institute contacted me because someone was in the audience and said, hey, can you do that speech for us? Well, we want a little bit of changes on it because, of course, this was a different group of people. They were in a hotel. I was going to use a PA system. Again, I thought, who is my audience? They are professional folks. They know a lot of the things that I wanted, that I shared with the other one, and I want to change it around. So I thought about it, changed out my speaking thing. Then I went and looked at the room. I tested out the microphones. I tested out all of that beforehand. And what did I do? I practiced and I practiced and I practiced the changes. It took a long time. And what I learned through those two experiences is when you're paying a paid speaker $5,000 for an hour, you're not paying $5,000 an hour. They have spent a lot of time and energy in preparing their expertise, their PowerPoints, their material, all the practicing, all the PR, all these things that people do. So $5,000 to do a speaking gig isn't a huge amount of money because they do a huge amount of work. I undervalued myself at that point in time because they said they were going to pay me, and I asked for $100. I wanted a clicker. so I could actually stand away and click with the PowerPoints, because I'd undervalued myself and I thought, I can't ask for more than $100. That day, same thing happened. I had a great day, great accolades. I did notice, and I was very aware of this, that there was a feedback session in one area. And because I had practiced and I am astute enough, I moved my presentation away from where the feedback was, and I made do, and I made it work. That's very important, not to get flustered when something doesn't work out. The next thing I did was I got contacted by a Renee Redekop, who is a Toastmaster, and she also knows Laurel Corbo. And they wanted somebody to come into the Alberta Assessors Association for their conference and do a session on, guess what? How to do public speaking. Again, my presentation was ready. I just need to tweak it for these folks. Renee Redekop was going to help, so we worked together back and forth. Her being an assessor knew what type of people and what they needed and wanted. And we did all of that. And we worked hard, really hard to get this done. What did I get paid for that one? I got paid my mileage and my hotel room. Oh, well, I got a free trip to Calgary, and it happened to be at the same time as our district conference. So pretty much I got to go to the district conference for free. Well, I had to pay the conference fee, but it was great. The next time I have actually paid, and then this will be the fourth example that I give, was the Women's Dress for Success Association got a hold of Toastmaster clubs. They get a hold of the Wascana Club because I believe it's the oldest one. And Lynette Zotzman and I stood up and said, yes, we will go present, guess what? How to do public speaking. Apparently that's a hot topic out there. People just want to know. They want to know in 1 hour or less how to get paid to speak and how to do a public speaking. You and I, we know that you can't learn that in an hour. You can't learn that in a lifetime. Well, maybe in a lifetime, but it takes day-to-day practice. Again, Lynette and I, we changed up the PowerPoint. We found out what kind of room we were in. We found out if we needed mics. We did all this prep. We did all this practice. And we went in there and we knocked them dead. I even believe that some members that came turned out to be members of Toastmasters afterwards because they believe the importance. What did I get paid for that one? I got the pleasure of speaking and doing something with my friend, Lynette Zotzman. Okay, I've never been paid $5,000 in an hour, but someday I might, because I know the importance of prepping, practice, know your audience, how to get a PowerPoint together, practice, prepping. I know all of those things. Can I say practice again? Because that's key, absolutely key in how to get money for speaking in public. Later on, I'm going to be sharing a handout in there with some of the things I said that you could remember to do for being in public speaking. Remember, know your material and practice, know your audience, know your location, know all of those things. You know that. You're Toastmasters. You've done the Better Speaker series. If you use a PowerPoint, use pictures, less verbiage, peak of interest. You are the focal point in a PowerPoint presentation. People don't want to read it. They can go home and read it. They want to hear you speak. They might want to have a visual cue to what you're saying. Also, remember, don't turn around and look at that screen. Look at the camera. Whether you're on live or you're on the camera, you look at the camera, you look at the audience. You've got to know what that PowerPoint is doing. Have backup plans, have different power cords, have all those things if you're going to use any type of electronics at all. Understand what electronics are and know how to use them. Understand the difference between live presentations and Zoom. You need to be comfortable with both formats if you're going to be a paid speaker. If it's longer than 15 minutes, interject some humor, some jokes, some personal stories. Everybody will get bored after 15 minutes if you're just repeating facts or things. You need to put that personal touch on things. If it's longer than 45, 50 minutes, take a break. I don't know if you've ever been in a presentation where they think they can talk for 2.5 hours, give you 15 minutes, and then talk for another 2.5. No, I'm done. I need to get up and at least walk around for 5 minutes and refresh my brain. That's a lot of information. And if you feel that way, your audience is going to feel that way. And that's a suggestion that I have for you. Also, have an agenda. Let folks know what you're going to do. This was only a short speech, but if you're going to go for an hour, make sure you have that agenda. Stick to that agenda. And at the end, so at the beginning, you say, this is my agenda, and this is what I'm going to talk about. And at the end, you go, let me summarize. I talk about this, 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 and this, and remind them of what you just said. So those are my tips. If you ever want to be a public speaker, go to Toastmasters, big tip, because you can practice daily on how to be a good speaker, and you will get good peer-to-peer feedback on how to improve. Know your audience, know your facility, know your speech. Practice, 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 and I can't emphasize that enough. Know technology. Don't undervalue yourself. Realize how much work you have put into it and charge accordingly. Those are my tips. And one final thought is, I very easily became a licensed marriage commissioner with all my credentials of being a Toastmaster. And I actually am getting paid to speak to married people. It takes about 10 or 15 minutes, and I get paid $100. There's not a better gig than that. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you